2021, four men got together to make a radio show that nobody asked for. This is the result.
Welcome to Broad Street Radio. I'm Michael Morris with my friend John Cash, John Meenach. Johnny, how are you?
I am doing well. If I were doing any better, I'd be taxed.
Do you pay your taxes?
Unfortunately.
I don't.
I want to figure out a way not to.
I haven't filed in the last 15 years.
I've read a lot of things that people have tried and failed, but
there's
got to be out there. There's got to be a way.
As I tell you at the IHOP, I saw a documentary where people said they didn't pay their taxes, and so I'm just going to refuse.
Yeah, right.
I mean, how are they going to find me of all people?
That GPS in your pocket.
Actually, they are spying on my other activities.
They're probably listening to this show right now.
I hope so. We need the listeners, but I hope that they're enjoying all the tabs I left open on my phone. You're welcome, government. I have a question for you. Who would be your ideal person that you as a financial advisor would want to handle? Me or Lane Kiffin? Just so you know, I don't have $15 million.
You both like hookers and cocaine.
Yeah.
So that is not a determining factor.
Is it because he's younger? Because I think he's 38 and I'm 46. You have a longer shelf life.
Are you talking about Lane Kiffin or are you talking about?
Oh, I'm sorry. I meant not Lane Kiffin.
Lincoln Riley.
Lincoln Riley and Lane Kiffin are the same person to me.
They seem like it. Yeah. The newest rich man in L.A.
Well, again, $15 million in L.A., like I said, it was 50 grand in real money.
Yeah, but if he actually makes it 10 years.
Well, let's talk.
Did he get 15 million or did he get
15?
I had heard he got 110 million. Maybe it was for 9 years then.
It's a 10-year deal, but there's other triggers in there. So like when Harbaugh beat Ohio State, there was another like $2.5 million in bonus.
Probably, yeah.
So he's going to win the Pac-12 for a long time.
Yeah,
because it is shite. My question to you is, we love to talk about money and other people's money.
Oh, yeah.
Fair enough to say.
Love talking about
We're always counting everybody else's wallet.
Yeah.
So when you see a Brian Kelly move, and by the time that this show airs, there'll be other moves that are going.
Oh, I can't wait to see.
I
hope it's Urban Meyer. I hope he comes to Cincinnati after Luke Fickell goes to Notre Dame.
Well, we're going to get there. We're going to get there because, again, it would be amazing if Luke Fickell didn't go to Notre Dame and he went to like East Carolina just because he heard the show.
Yeah, maybe.
Like he's like, hell with those guys.
Fuck these guys. I'm going to do the opposite.
But when
I'm going to take a pay cut.
This reminds me of when I was a kid. There was a thing in baseball called the Hot Stove League, which literally is just player movement. Like you're just waiting on players to sign and all that.
Yeah.
And right now, the amount of money you get paid to be a head football coach at a college.
I told my wife literally yesterday, I picked the wrong career path.
It's nuts.
I should have been a college coach.
Here's the other thing.
I don't know anything about football. But
Lincoln Riley's taking his entire staff, including a Grove City graduate, Alex Grinch.
Oh, no kidding.
Who was the D coordinator at Oklahoma before that he was at Ohio State.
Yeah.
Now, he has yet to stop any team from getting 500 yards against any team he coaches, but he's going to get over $2 million.
Yeah. Well, he doesn't have to. He plays in the Big 12 and now the Pac-12.
Could you imagine that?
Can you imagine how easy that job is? Yeah, just go out and do some shit. I don't know. Let him score. We'll just get the ball back.
Yeah. As long as we score more. I'm just thinking, well, go into the other details of the Lincoln Riley contract, because when you showed me what they had to pay for his 2 houses in Oklahoma.
Right. So and now this was unconfirmed, right? This was just but everything on Twitter is true. Even Jack Dorsey leaving, right? So, but the details was that he got paid $110 million. It didn't say for how long. I assume 10 years. And then they had to buy his 2 houses in Oklahoma. First of all, who the fuck has 2 houses in Oklahoma?
I didn't even know. Oklahoma's a huge state. Can you imagine what those little shit ranch houses must look like?
Well, why would he have 2 houses in Norman, Oklahoma?
Well, why did Brian Kelly? He just finished building a house like a stone's throw from the stadium. So I'll bet you LSU had to buy that house off him.
Oh, I'm sure. So Lincoln Riley is going to get both of his houses purchased by USC for $500,000 more than he was asking. Yeah. So that's an additional $1 million bonus right there. And then they had to buy him a $6 million house in LA, which is like 800 square foot.
Right.
Probably nothing.
It's like my house without a kitchen.
Right. It's got an outhouse.
We have a bucket. You'll figure out what it's for.
Yeah. Don't mind if there's bums out back.
Well, that's in San Francisco. Good thing no one cares about San Francisco anymore.
So, anyways, they had to buy him a $6 million house. They had to. It was written in his contract that they had to give him unlimited use
of a
USC's private jet
Yeah.
for him and his family anytime they want. Daughter wants to go to Disney World in Florida. Let's get on the jet.
I'd be using that every day.
Bitches.
I got to go to Walmart every day. Where? In Tuscaloosa. Hey, I don't want to skip this because we're talking about all this money. Nancy Pelosi bought a $25 million estate
in Florida.
So I just want to point out, even people in California don't care about San Francisco.
Right. The greatest part about that is how she just slammed Florida and DeSantis and they're terrible COVID protocols, but fuck it, I'm going to move down there because, when this shit breaks off in California, I'm going to be.
I just had to point that out as we're talking. I've found myself watching on YouTube. There's this guy that I'll just say he looks like he's not from here, and his broken English, but he's showing these houses like in the Palisades and all that, and they're showing you what you can get for $10 million or $48 million. Oh my God. And that's the kind of place where I thought Lane Kiffin can now afford that.
Yes. Yeah.
Not Lane Kiffin. Sorry, Lincoln Riley.
Again, Lincoln Riley too. Yeah. I mean, they both can. I mean, Lane Kiffin, he's coaching at Ole Miss now. He went to like Florida International School for the Deaf and Blind.
I love the fact that those guys, I only want to be here. This is my dream job to coach at Tulane. And then as soon as the door opens, but that's the part that
see you boys.
USC wanted Urban Meyer at one point before he was playing grab ass in his restaurant.
Sure.
They wanted Fickle. At some point, Luke Fickell, does he leave Cincinnati? I think you have to leave Cincinnati for like a real job.
I don't know, man. Look, they're sitting number 4 in the CFP. They've got a real shot at doing something. I mean,
you want to watch them play Georgia?
Well, no. I mean, look, the issue is, and this is what I want to know, is how good are they really? Are they going to get found out here in about a month? Probably. But, there's still that sliver of hope that you think, man, maybe they can do it. Kind of like when
Boise State.
Yeah, I was just thinking Boise State took it to Oklahoma. Maybe that's why Lincoln Riley left. He's like, fuck, we did this a few years ago. I don't want to do this again.
But see, I think if it's me,
that or he got paid a lot of money.
Well, do I want to be the all-time leader in wins at a school nobody cares about, right? Because at the end of the day, Cincinnati's never going to be a power.
Just pissed off every Cincinnati fan in the world. All 3 of them that watch.
I've tried to explain this to you guys so many times. I don't care about people. If you're mad, write me a note because I don't care about you. What I'm saying is, would you look at a job at Notre Dame and say, let's say I went there and I was unsuccessful and I was there for 3 or 4 years, like Brady Hoke when he went to Michigan, right?
Yes.
Do you take that? Because he got to go back to the school that he came from anyway, and he's successful out there. Do you take that because that's your dream? And this goes with anybody. Do you take your dream job, or are you okay where you're at? Because to me, he's proven his point at Cincinnati.
Oh, definitely.
If he's staying at Cincinnati, that tells me he's waiting on Ryan Day to get fired when he loses Michigan again.
That very well could be true. I mean, Luke Fickell's an Ohio guy, so he definitely wants to stay in Ohio, but I don't know. That's a good question, man. I haven't been offered $110 million to, take my business from Edward Jones to somewhere else. I would like to say I wouldn't do it, but if somebody else offers me $110 million.
But let's say that you love Edward Jones.
I do.
For the most part, right?
Yeah.
So if somebody else offered you more money to go to the unknown, the way I always looked at it, I took a job leaving what we would call like family owned or an O&O radio stations to go to the evil empire. And once I got there, I'm like, oh, everybody here is so stupid. This is not like it's like they would say it's like Wall Street. I'm like, yeah, because everybody's drunk and doing drugs around here, and all we do is sell things and we don't know what we're doing. To leave that for money, that's why I'm asking the question. Do you leave Oklahoma where you could say no one's ever going to push him out, right?
No, they wouldn't.
So if he stays there that long, he's going to be the all-time leader in wins. They're going to put a statue up, or you're going to go to USC. And if it doesn't work out in 2 or 3 years, yes, they have to pay you.
Right. Well, and the other thing is that now he's, instead of being in Norman, Oklahoma, he's in Los Angeles. He's in the big city. He's in the spotlight. So I don't know. I really can't tell you. I don't know if it's an ego thing of, well, I did it here, I can do it there, or I don't know what it is. I really don't. Or it's just pure money. He looked at it and said,
it's got to be about money.
look,
because
$110 million, and I never have to work. The other thing is, the way I look at this, what's he making right now? You think he's making scratch? No, he's
probably making $6 to $8 million.
Yeah. How is your life materially different when you're making 15 million versus 8 million? I mean,
okay, but what is Nick Saban worth now?
well, sure. I mean,
Well, no, I'm
have
being
no
serious.
idea.
If I'm looking at it and you got 7 national titles, this guy has none. Brian Kelly goes down to LSU from Notre Dame, no national title. I mean, every bowl game they've been in, they get powdered.
yeah.
So at what point did you look at, if I'm Nick Saban, do I look at it and say, hey, where's he going to go?
Right.
I think
he's
a
already went to
perfect
the NFL, didn't really work out there. He came back to college. I mean, he's won national titles with what, two different teams? He won at LSU.
He won at LSU and he's won 6 with Alabama.
I mean, he doesn't have anything else to prove. So is it an ego thing for him? Maybe. I don't know.
If I'm Alabama, because he's not going to stay 10 more years. I mean, he's not going to be Joe Paterno, you wouldn't think. So I would think that they would say, hey, we're going to bump you up to 15 million, because the revenue that the school is making is astronomical.
It's got to be disgusting.
I just look at the USC situation and go, when they're a big deal, yeah, people are behind it. In the Pete Carroll years when they had Snoop Dogg, Will Ferrell, all the celebrities
but
coming.
Here's the other thing is have you ever seen the stadium at a Lakers game or at a Miami Heat game? It's empty through the first quarter,
right?
Because nobody cares.
But that's my point.
It takes 3 hours to get downtown.
They play in the Coliseum that's there to hold an Olympic Games, like 20 events. You can't sell the thing out.
Right.
They're not getting a new stadium because there's no land in Los Angeles.
There's nowhere to go.
I am curious because, again, I look at it as, is it your dream job? No. Is it the dream amount of money? Yes. Yeah. And if it comes down to that, you can't tell me, like Brian Kelly just sent a note. I'm not coming back at all.
That was,
and Notre Dame has a shot. So let's say that Alabama loses. Notre Dame has a shot that they could be in the top 4.
Yes.
And then today I hear, and again, this will be dated by the time you hear it, but they have a shot to get in the playoff again. And the committee said, well, if Brian Kelly's not there, you don't have a head coach.
Yeah, the committee might turn around and look at it and say, no, we're going to go ahead and move up Oklahoma State. Or, if Oklahoma State loses to Baylor, you know who's next, right?
Right.
They're going to put Ohio State or Alabama in there with 2 losses.
If I was Ohio State, and again, this will air before the bowls.
Yeah.
I don't want to play Georgia. I don't want to play Alabama. I'll play Cincinnati all day long.
Well, no shit.
I'm just saying, if you can't beat Michigan and all they did was run the ball down your throat,
man. Like that's still sour with me. I don't know what that was all about.
It's that they can't stop the run.
But they have before. We literally just played a team with the best running back in the country, and we hung 59 on them in the third.
What's the difference?
Quarter.
They were up 14-0.
Right.
If you can't run the ball if you're down 2 scores.
The biggest mistake, and I hate to get off on this tangent, but I have to say this. Do you know what he should have done, Ryan Day? He should have taken the fucking ball to start the game.
Oh, yeah.
I texted a buddy of mine, literally when they deferred. I'm like, what is he doing? Take the ball and go score, man.
You know what he should have done was shut his goddamn mouth and say that you're going to run the score up on him and all that. Why you would do that? My favorite quote, though, is Harbaugh saying, the guy woke up on third base, thought he hit a triple. And that is honestly, that guy walked into, I'll give you the scenario as SMU in the 80s.
Yeah, right.
Ron Meyer has all these NFL caliber players going to Southern Methodist University.
Right.
And no one can figure out. Well, they figure out they're giving them cars and housing and women.
You pay them enough.
Well, when Ron Meyer leaves to go to the Colts, the next guy in is from Southern Miss.
Yeah.
Like some school no one's paying any attention to, and he doesn't know what he's doing. So again, you're handed a Porsche and you don't know how to drive stick.
Yep.
Ryan Day just walked into a perfect opportunity.
He did.
He should be thanking my friend who had to get a little slappy with his wife, and that's what got Urban out of there.
That's a true story.
Urban's never stayed anywhere more than 6 years. You think that's a problem, or you think that's a cycle?
Cycle. I mean, it's just that's who he is.
He's going to get fired in Jacksonville.
Oh,
guarantee it.
100%.
And there's not going to be a college job like USC, Notre Dame, any of that available.
Well, nobody's going to touch him. I mean, would you
Well, how could
hire him?
You can't bring him back into college.
Right.
Because why did you leave? Well, we had a bunch of incidents at Florida and a bunch of incidents at Ohio State.
Half my team was in jail at Florida. One of them
But
somebody.
Who would you hire? John Gruden or Urban Meyer? Who's in worse shape?
Ooh, man, it put me on a spot.
That's what we like to do on this show.
Urban Meyer.
See, I don't know. I think Gruden. Listen, I don't think Gruden can get a job coaching little kids.
No, there's not a chance. But you know what? He's suing the NFL, and he's going to win.
And goddamn it, he's right to do. You're telling me
win.
You looked through 70,000 emails, you only found 2.
3. Yeah, give me a freaking break.
And it was just the same guy.
Yeah, stop. Are you telling me he's the only one that uses that language in the NFL?
He's not the only one to use that language on this show. You should hear Nate. What I am curious about is if I'm Gruden, I don't care. You got me, right? I want you to make it public record.
Yep. Burn it down.
I want to see everybody because Pete Carroll is double burdened somebody and doesn't give a shit. This 100%. Is football. This is supposed to be the manliest of all sports outside of rugby.
Legitimately gladiators of the 20th, 21st century. I mean, these guys are literally trying to kill each other. And you're telling me their feelings are hurt by, mean words? Do you know what they call each other on the field?
I was just going to say that because when they have those hot mics that pick it up, and I'm just always like,
ooh. Who was the defensive end or tackle from John? Was it John Randall? Was that his name?
Yes.
For the Vikings.
Yeah.
I've heard that dude would say some of the worst things.
He would talk about. He would find out somebody's wife's name or their girlfriend's name.
He would research the person that he was going against, and he would talk about their kids, their mother, their grandma. I mean, he was just brutal.
I don't understand why we look at these guys like they're supposed to. I think when you see a guy, like especially in college, they make him wear suits to the game and you go, what a gentleman. And then you find out they're killing people with cars and they're threatening them on Instagram with guns. Like the kid, what's his name? Damon Arnett or whatever.
Yeah. That kid from Ohio State.
Over a traffic incident. As soon
as he got out of the car getting ready to go.
Did you see how many guns he had? He looked like John Rambo. But he's doing it on Instagram. Like, what? You went to college.
Right.
I'm not saying you went to class, but you did enroll in college. At some point, you got to know that's not right. and I'll bet you he gets another chance.
Probably. I think
because no one knows who he is.
Yeah. But Ruggles, that dude's life's over.
Okay. So here's another question. Let's say he goes to jail for 3 years because I think they're only looking at a max of 7.
That's crazy.
So he comes out at 20. Even if he goes for 7, he's like 28 years old. Do you give him another shot?
Do I? No.
Not you personally, you Christian fool.
I don't have a team for starters. I mean,
I'm saying
I might let him join my 7-on-7 flag football league down in Ashland.
Would you let Michael Vick watch your kids and your dog while you're gone?
Probably not.
Because the Steelers did, the Eagles did.
Yeah.
That's the thing where I like when people are like, we're a very forgiving society. Yeah, if you can do something for me, if you can make me money or win me games or whatever.
Yep. Can you make me money? That's the critical piece, right?
Oklahoma football in the 80s and early 90s, he's a good kid. He's misunderstood. Lawrence Phillips at Nebraska. The guy was throwing his girlfriend down flights of stairs every weekend, and they're like, Lawrence, just please apologize.
You saw that video of the running. Who's that running back? He's not in the league anymore. But man,
Zach Stacy.
Yes. Jesus, that dude is an animal. Like what?
I sent that to a girl because I just happened to see it and I'm like, I couldn't hear it because I was in a meeting and I'm like, I couldn't hear what they were saying. She texts me back and she's like, I am crying, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, don't be sad. He'll get another job. Like I didn't know what she was crying about until I heard it. I'm like, oh my God. Because it reminded me, first of all, the Ray Rice thing, him getting banned for life, basically without anybody saying anything. All I want to say is he starched her in an elevator, then dragged her out.
Well, and the crazy thing is like they're still married. They weren't married at the time. They're married and they're still together.
So she didn't have to testify against. As a pretend lawyer, I can tell you she doesn't have to say anything if they're married. Well, so he locked her up right away and never got another shot.
But how would she? I mean, why? I don't care if my kid gave me a right hook. I'm doing something about it.
Well, I'm sure that she thought he's going to continue playing, so we got another contract coming. Not one person has ever called that dude.
No. No, why would you? You couldn't.
But that's my point is that if you can do something for me now, I'm going to put up with
how about the greatest travesty of all in sports? Pete Rose is not in the Hall of Fame. We're forgiving except for certain things.
I will say, okay, so
Josh Gordon, how many times has that dude been?
I think here's what
he's never hurt anybody, you know.
Barry Bonds isn't going to get in the Hall of Fame either.
No.
Now, here's what I will say about this. They're both the same case, in my opinion. Pete Rose, did he bet on baseball? Yes.
Yes.
Are you saying did he broke a rule? Okay. You can't say that. You can't have a show on MLB Network and then brought to you by DraftKings. Here's who's playing tonight,
right?
And then say he broke a rule.
How idiotic is that?
Shit.
It is unbelievable.
Barry Bonds, did he do steroids? Yes, he did.
Absolutely.
So you let me watch that guy till he was 41 or 43 years old,
hitting bombs,
hitting
landing
balls
in the
into the ocean,
yeah.
And now I'm supposed to pretend I didn't see it.
Yeah,
that's what you're saying to me.
Exactly.
We treat again. You let him play.
You know what it is, and it really bothers me. Is it's like you know, these guys are just workhorses. Work them till they're dead, then put them down, man. Like. Squeeze every freaking dollar out of them you can get.
I hate the integrity.
When they're done, piss on them.
But the integrity of the sport.
Yeah,
first of all,
there is none.
There is not. The whole point of sports is to win. I don't care how you win. Like I don't want you to purposely break someone's leg or something. But you're going to tell me that this sets a bad example for our kids. You ever go to a Walmart here? Every bad example is in that Walmart. You can't ignore the fact that somebody is the best. To get 4,256 hits, you would in a 20-year period, you have to average 200 hits a year for 20 years, and you're still short.
Yeah,
there is something about achievement that we in this country, especially, we don't pay attention to that. It used to be Andy Warhol. Your 15 minutes of fame. You only got to be famous for about 20 seconds now.
Yep.
We are holding people to different standards than we hold ourselves to.
Oh, but that's society. I mean, it always has been, you know. Yeah, the whole thing about it's just all about money. It's all about money. And if they thought it was profitable to put Pete Rose in the Hall of Fame, his ass would have been there.
Well, you know his stuff is in there.
Well, of course.
They've got a whole setup of all this Pete Rose stuff. He just doesn't get a plaque.
Last ball. Yeah, exactly.
Same with Barry Bonds.
Yeah.
But if you're not going to acknowledge it, no one since 1992 talks about who the all-time hits, like, even on a broadcast, none of that. Like, it doesn't matter. That was the one record they said couldn't be beaten. That and Lou Gehrig's streak. There's something about now. Is he
Cal Ripken?
Yeah, but I'm saying when you Cal Ripken is like was the face of baseball because after the strike, it was this guy shows up to work every day.
Yeah, he does.
So did Pete Rose.
Yep.
Right, but if you're trying to teach kids about what it means to give your all to something, Barry Bonds, should he have done that?
No.
No. Was he a great player without it? Yes. Did he show you what could be done if you're that great and you juice like the other guys? Yes.
Yeah, you betcha.
But there's a culture in America about win. It used to be. In the last couple of years, we don't care about winning anymore. It's more about tearing other people down or holding them down.
Yeah.
But there was a point where America was about winning at all costs.
Yeah. Well, and honestly, that's probably what's got us in the situation that we're in, financially, economically. I mean, you know, back when, you know, we went through the Industrial Revolution, it was all about build your company up and do what's right for the working person, do what's right for the company, do what's right for everybody else, and we're gonna succeed, we're gonna win, we're gonna dominate. That happened. And then I think they're looking at it like, okay, what's the next step? And I think that's what happened in baseball with steroids. Is, I mean, the guys were all every pitcher was on freaking speed, and because he's pitching double headers and he's doing it 7 days a week. Like, you know, all of those guys were hopped up on something. So I think the hitters just decided, all right, fine. Brought to you by Monster.
Brought to you by cocaine. Amphetamines.
Yes. That's the word I was looking for, amphetamines. That was a huge issue.
They used to call them greenies.
80s.
They had like fish bowls full of them.
Yeah. So, you know, like nobody talks about that era where Ricky Henderson's popping, you know, amphetamines and crap like that. I don't know if he actually did. I just assume he did.
I'll ask him if I meet him.
Well,
I'll be on amphetamines when I ask him.
How many stolen bases does a guy have to have over like a 30-year career just to catch him? Like,
Oh,
He
you
has
have
to
to
steal like 30 bases a year for 30 years.
It's not even that because it's over 1,100. He's got over 11. So you have to steal 80 bases a year and do it for almost 18 years, and you're still short.
And you're still short. That guy had to be on something.
Yeah.
Like, how do you?
The guy ran like a jackrabbit, but occasionally you'd need a nap if you weren't amped up on something. Well, I'm glad that we came full circle when we mentioned Nancy Pelosi's $25 million house. But in conclusion, your thoughts, do you like seeing this stuff? Do you like seeing coaches change?
Oh, I love it. It's the greatest, man. It is like, look, did I want to see Ohio State lose? No, I did not. I wanted to see them hang 100 because that's would have been more exciting to me. But the fact that they lost and the fashion they lost gives me something to talk about. You know, it's entertaining if nothing else. And that's what, sports should be, is entertainment. But I love seeing these guys taking checks. It's fantastic.
It's fun to just see things.
It's like musical chairs.
Yeah.
See who's going to get caught holding the bag.
There is no off season anymore. And Jonathan, just for you, I'll just say as we end, roll Tide.
And go to hell.